So what do we know about the Perseus? There were a couple of big ships teased at CitizenCon, but Perseus was only one focused on combat, and is expected to be released within the next year. As far as big ships go, we also saw Drake Ironclad and the Pioneer. Perseus is a heavy-duty frigate with a skeleton crew of 6 players. It is not that big of a ship, and not considered a capital class ship. Some do want to compare Perseus to Polaris, but they are significantly different. Polaris being a capital class corvette, more than twice the size of Perseus. Well, even Hammerhead is slightly bigger than Perseus. So they both, the Hammerhead and Perseus, belong in the sub-capital class ships. It does mean they are big, but just not big enough, strong enough, or capable enough to be a capital class ship. Perseus itself is armed with 4 turrets. 2 are manned and 2 are remote. The ship also has 2 size 5 torpedo launchers, and both launchers have 10 torps in reserve. Unfortunately, the size 5 torpedoes are rather weak, but the 2 manned turrets are meant to offer pretty heavy firepower, each having 2 size 7 cannons. We don't yet know how powerful these will be, but most of the ships don't have these types of big weapons. As for the 2 smaller remote turrets, we will have 2 size 3 Galesson ballistic Gatlings. So these are mainly to counter missiles fired at you, torpedoes fired at you. If there is no player to control them, they actually work automatically. The ship itself does not have much cargo space, only 50 units, nor does it actually need it, as the main focus is combat. All components on this ship are size 3, which is accustomed to other same size, same type ships. Even though the 2 manned turrets are most unique elements of this ship, the rear position of this lower turret leaves me with some questions. As the turret is so far in the back, it seems very likely that some of the shooting arcs are blocked by the thrusters, or perhaps even the body of this ship. It also appears to be in the lower part of the bottom of this ship and right in front of the cargo bay. Because of its close to the body location at the back, there is concern that neither of these turrets can commit on the same target. Yes, there will be an angle where both guns can fire on the same target, but the question is, which of these turrets has the most field of view without limitations, which has the best arcs? I think there is only one mistake in the design of this ship. The position of the rear turret, or at least its elevation. It might be possible that the turrets might extend themselves a little once someone is sitting in it or has turned on the turret's power. There is a probability that the rear turret or the rear thrusters will get a bit redesigned, making either the turret stand out a bit more or moving thrusters out of the way, as they have done some similar changes even before. I personally would like for both of these turrets to be in the nose part of the ship, opposite of each other, but I'm entirely sure we are not going to get that. So the 2 remote turrets are positioned in a similar unpleasant way, but this time one being on the top of the bridge, which actually is a pretty decent location, and the other being between the thrusters in the lower back position covering the rear and bottom. This is once again blocked by the thrusters, so the turret can cover only in rather narrow arc towards the rear or lower rear of the ship. This also leaves the lower nose part of the ship open for missile and torpedo attacks, while the same can be said for the sides of the ship. The idea of heavy guns frigate is actually pretty amazing, as Hammerhead is a heavy gunship with 6 manned turrets, each having 4 guns. The Perseus would be a heavy hitter with just 2 turrets and 2 guns each. The Hammerhead's design does support covering almost all sides of the ship, somewhat fighting several enemies even at once, and all of its guns doubling also as protective weapons against torpedo attacks, while the Perseus has no such luxury, and probably will need to commit on taking out focus targets with those big guns instead of trying to cover itself. I think if Perseus will ever be part of fleet battles, some crews might be 3 to 4 players instead of 6, as the ship cannot be covered from all sides, and so it might be better to commit on those big guns, focusing on main targets to do most of the work, and let other ships cover you. I don't mean to say that it is useless to fully crew the ship, but you might be able to use 2 Perseuses instead of a fully crewed single Perseus. It would definitely help on taking down those bigger ships, focused targets. And you can't pull similar trick with a ship like Hammerhead, because on that ship every gun seat, every turret matters. Everyone has their own expectations with this ship, and nothing is set in stone. Yet it might be very powerful counter to other big ships. We don't know what it will really be like. We can make assumptions based on the information available, and that is pretty much all. Perhaps once it is released and put to practice, we can see where it actually excels. But until that point, don't forget to like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.